Dustin over there, Nameco right here, 2018 starting pitchers for your upcoming fantasy baseball draft. That's what we're giving to you in this video. But first, Dustin.
Yes?
But first, Dustin, you normally roll right into it.
It sounded like you were going to say something else.
No, but first, Dustin. Sorry, Dustin.
There you go. Check out all our other stuff. Check out our cheat sheet, all our other tiers and rankings. You click on the link in the description, take you to our website. You can get our top 150 cheat sheet on there as well. Print that off for your draft, comes in handy. And if you got any questions about your team, keeper questions, all that stuff, post a message
Copycat.
in the video and we will respond.
Thing to copy anyway. I felt bad doing it, and then you're looking even dumber for copying it.
Tier 1. These 4 guys, I mean, I don't really need to go into what these 4 guys can do. It's absolutely absurd. If they stay healthy, they are going to be aces just like they always are. They're all going to go between probably the 7th and 15th pick in your draft. So if you want one of them, you're going to have to pay up to get them. But
Are you okay taking a pitcher in the first round?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Well, it depends on your league, but almost all leagues.
Yes, but. All right, tier 2, I want to talk about 2 guys that had, solid years, but are very, 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 very injury prone, it feels like, over the course of their careers. First one, Steven Strasburg with the Nationals. Last year he had 175 innings pitched and over 200 Ks. Absolutely love that. That led to a 2.52 ERA. But again, Strasburg's had some injuries in the past. However, I think he's kind of somewhat getting over it. I'm not as concerned of his injury history, so I'm finding myself being more willing to take him in leagues this year. And Yu Darvish, though, if you get Yu Darvish, you're going to miss him for a couple weeks. I feel like this guy's getting hurt every year, but the Ks are ridiculous as well. He's over a K per inning, but he had a 3.89 ERA, so you got to remember that when drafting him. Again, these guys can both be extremely solid pitchers. They can both be very good aces, but there is a little bit of injury concern you just need to be aware of.
A couple of guys in tier 3 that I'm very excited about. Severino for the Yankees, and we all saw what he did last year. 230 strikeouts in 193 innings, ridiculous, sub-3 ERA. I mean, we liked him coming into the year, but I don't think many people saw that coming, but the guy's stuff is nasty. He's legit. Another guy with nasty stuff is Robbie Ray, one of our favorite sleepers for Arizona. We've been talking about it a lot, that humidor out there. It's only going to help the pitchers. While we don't think it's going to be a huge impact, we do think it will help, obviously, the pitchers and hurt the hitters. But 218 Ks and 162 innings for him last year with a sub-3 ERA as well. We are excited about him.
Tier 4, I got to be highlighting Justin Verlander because nobody saw that coming. The guy was really solid last year, K per inning again, little over 3 ERA, a 1.17 whip. He had 15 wins. I think ask him to repeat that is about where he's going in draft, so that makes sense in terms of his position right now. But just keep that in mind. Don't go reaching on him, but if he's falling into your lap, I'm okay taking Verlander. I think he could double down again this year. And then Chris Archer, 29 years old for Tampa Bay. Guy that's always been on fantasy radars, but last year he had 200 innings pitched, 249 strikeouts.
Pretty good.
Absolutely love that. What I don't love, his ERA was over 4, so that's kind of odd. And then he only had 10 wins because of that. But he had 20 quality starts. So I'm thinking some of those cybermetrics guys can tell me out there, he probably ran into some bad luck as well along the way because that K per inning ratio is very solid. I really like Chris Archer's where he's falling in drafts for you.
Still lots of talent down tier 5. I want to talk about my boy, Dallas Keuchel with Houston. We know this guy can be a true ace, and at this point, he comes at a decent value on draft day. So, he's only, he is 30 years old. He has crossed that threshold, but that's not that old for a starting pitcher. He's got a lot of time left, so he could go back to his old form. And then James Paxton for Seattle's another guy.
I love him.
Another guy we're excited about. Well over a K per inning, sub-3 ERA, 29 years old, right in his prime. We like him heading into this year as a solid, safe pick in the middle round.
And Dustin and I are going to have a chat after this, and we're going to move him up our rankings because he's awesome and he shouldn't be that low.
If you say so.
Tier 6, David Price I want to talk about. What's not awesome is the contract that David Price got. That's kind of one of the worst contracts it feels like in Major League Baseball right now. But he is slipping in drafts because he obviously didn't have a great year last year. What's more likely, David Price to bounce back to what he was before, or for him to keep being terrible? Even if there's a 25% chance he bounced back to where he was before, he's an amazing point at where you could get him in draft. So I don't mind waiting, don't reach, and taking David Price and hope becomes the David Price of old. And going to tier 7, Dustin, because I know that was a little longer than expected.
Tier 7, Garrett Cole. This is a guy that people have always really liked. You know, obviously he has a lot of strikeout potential, but he just still hasn't quite done much in the last, well, hasn't done much in the last couple years. He had that great 2015. Everyone was thinking him to be the next, you know, big name in fantasy, but it hasn't quite worked out. So that's why we got him this low. He still has the potential though. You know, he's only 27 years old, but at this point you can't really draft him any higher. And then Luke Weaver, another youngster that we're excited about, 24 years old with St. Louis, former first-round pick. He's got the pedigree.
Woo!
He's got the K rates. We just think he's going to be a guy that could have, you know, could take huge steps this year. So we like him as a...
All right, let's talk about tier 8.
Oh, jeez.
Otani. Let's talk about him, Dustin. Let's talk about Otani.
It's going to be interesting.
23 years old, is a starting pitcher. He was a beast overseas, not only pitching, but also hitting the baseball. He's probably going to DH. What do you do with Otani this year?
I mean, your league is going to have to figure out how it's going to work. Some leagues are going to let him be a hitter and a pitcher, and then if it's a daily setup league, if you want to put him in your utility or whatever, then you can. But other leagues, like weekly leagues, you're going to have to pick at the beginning of the week if you want him to be a pitcher or a hitter. It's going to be a mess. I think his value dropped significantly in weekly leagues because of that. Or he still could be very good though. He could be a really good hitter or a pitcher. We'll see how he converts to the bigs. I think he might get slightly overdrafted because of the fun factor, but
specifically know your league settings with him. That's our point. You have to know what your settings are, because if it is daily and you can have him be a hitter, and then when he starts he can be a pitcher, just keep that in mind. Oh, of course, it's so odd.
Danny Salazar.
Never been done before.
It's weird. Danny Salazar in tier 9. He's coming back from a shoulder injury. We know this guy can strike people out. He had 145 strikeouts and 103 innings pitched last year. But he's not going to give you the best ERA. So if you're looking for a guy that you can grab later, like I said, he's coming back from shoulder injury, so you need to see if he's going to be ready. But he should have solid K rates, but just don't expect the best ERA out of him.
Tier 10, you know I love talking about pedigree and hype and post-hype sleepers. Trevor Bauer of the Cleveland Indians. Now it's been a long time since he's had the huge hype. And while, you know, I don't think he's going to be a Cy Young candidate, obviously, this year, but you just got to remember he did have, you know, he had an over 1-to-1 ratio, K's innings pitch, which you're going to have to, you like that about him, and the pedigree is there, so he's just an interesting late-round pick. I always like those guys that should have been studs, that weren't studs, maybe they blossom. It's worth the gamble.
Worth the gamble. Tier 11, Gio Gonzales. You know, this is a guy that had a solid year last year, sub-3 ERA, just under a K per inning. So why is he so low? This was his first sub-3 ERA year since 2012. So could it happen again? Of course, but you gotta say what's more likely? You know, him going back to being around 4 or going and sticking under 3. So we're just a little weary. We're not writing him off. We're not saying it was completely fluky. It's just a little worrisome when he had such a long stretch of not having that good of an ERA.
So we go into tier 12. I'm going to talk about a guy that had a 4.24 ERA, a 1.2 WHIP. He had under a 1-to-1 innings pitched to K ratio. So I don't like any of those things. So why am I talking about him? It's because his name's Dylan Bundy.
Pedigree.
Talk about pedigree. Dylan Bundy was supposed to be a superstar pitcher for the Orioles.
He was good for a while, then he fell off.
I think he's got, again, I like the late gambles. I want to take young with upside. I think Dylan Bundy falls into that. 25 years old, playing for the O's. You can get him so late in your draft. If you're in a league that's deep enough like that, I think he's interesting.
He had some good starts early on in the year.
He looked amazing his first 3 or 4 starts.
Last tier, Patrick Korbin. You know, this is a guy that he had a great 2015 as well, and it really looked like he might be a guy that's going to, you know, kind of take steps and be up in the top, you know, top 5 tiers or so pitcher moving forward, but just hasn't really worked. He's kind of regressed a little bit, but still close to a K per inning, ERA just over 4. There's still some potential there, and you'll be able to get him probably with one of your last picks, so he could be a decent guy to snag late. So that's starting pitchers. Check out all of our other stuff.
What do you want, Dustin? Fastball, knuckle, or curve?
Knuckle.
Ooh, and there's some movement.
It's no R.A. Dickey.
Hold on. Big time movement coming.
No R.A. Dickey. No, I was way outside. Check out all our other stuff. Subscribe if you haven't already. Baseball.